Hey, awkwardly awesome podcast starts in 3, 2, 1. Today I am so honored to have Harmony Sedona here with me. And Harmony sent me her bio, and I thought, oh, I could read this, but I want Harmony to read it because it's so powerful. So Harmony, will you read your bio, please?
Absolutely. Thank you. It's such an honor. And it's actually joyful. Might be the word for today. So over the past 20 plus years, Harmony Sedona has developed a very deep, profound relationship with spirit and the etheric wisdom keepers through various studies, initiations, and activations with living master teachers. She is a gifted channel, wordsmith, writing coach, and healer with an unconventional style and an all-access pass to universal wisdom, truth, and possibilities. The messages and healing that flow through her offer her clients inspiration, ideas, messages, direction, fresh perspectives, and new choices, creating new energetic patterns, awareness, confidence, and creativity. And wait, there's more. She excels in helping conscious new thought leaders write a book that captures the essence and message of their soul. She is also passionate about helping her clients play in the absolute possible, that magical place where one believes with every cell of their being that the dreams and calling of the soul are not only real, but begging to be given life. Her true value is how she helps her clients energetically move quickly from the impossible to the possible, celebrate their brilliance, and dissolve the barriers of separation as inner confidence and strength build exponentially. Harmony is certified in various healing modalities, including the Rising Star Healing System, spiritual mastery, meditation, visualization, and affirmative prayer. She combines a BS degree in human development from Syracuse University with 20 years of extensive study in personal and spiritual growth. Oh, hello there. She loves living, so close to the ocean in San Diego, California, with Josh Kitty the Mystic and Cappy Kitty the Alchemist. Her world is full of lots of sunshine and many blessings.
So Harmony, when you read that bio, I love some of the words you say, and I resonate totally with them, and other words in there I don't understand fully. But the thing is, I know your work. You've coached me for years, and you've been one of the mentors who have helped me transform my life. So I love the whole bio because it just continues to remind me that none of us has to be exactly like each other to get the benefit of each other's energy and wisdom and caring and love. And on Monday, we had a so already Eric Swanson, who's Speaker Eric Swanson, who puts on events around the country, is a big fan, and so you already have fans, but but on Monday we did a awkwardly awesome podcast prep, and we planned one thing out, but then something really sad and hard happened between Monday and today.
Yeah.
Your beloved kitty Josh transitioned.
Yeah.
So there's both grieving Josh because you miss him so much, and celebrating the life and the magnificence of who he was. He was such a presence for a cat, and then also feeling him in the beyond, or feeling him in another plane. So and I know a lot of people listening are grieving one thing or another in 2020. So what would you say to start off talking about this huge and emotionally challenging subject?
I think the place where I start is what I would call the space that you held, Jason, for me to show up today, because I didn't cancel last night. I said, wait till this morning. We communicated. I was back with you this morning. I don't know if I can do this. I'm not, I just don't know. And you were like, well, let's just take it one step at a time. Let's see what's possible. And we'll know when we know. And that was huge. And you also gave me permission energetically and in words to not have to be perfect, which was huge for me. It was like, if I can show up and I cry, I cry. If I show up and I laugh. If I'm in every single emotion in between, that's me. I don't have to come in as an expert or as an anything. I can just come in as me and trust who I am. So this is like, huge growth for me as well, to show up when I'm not sure how I'm going to feel, or what's like reading a bio and my cat's name is in it. Like, seriously, I think I can get through that.
And neither of us thought of that being there. It was like a surprise.
I saw it coming as I got to the last paragraph. So, and I think part of what's really been on top for me was what we talked about on Monday, which has taken me a while to really honor within myself as something that's really important to me. And so this is core for me. This is what I completely know and believe in. And the ability to play in the absolute possible, and to play in divine flow, and to see where they meet, and to talk about choice, and to be with what life brings you in each moment. So, that's a beginning answer to it. I don't know if you want me to continue or you had more question.
Because on Monday we were talking about taking small steps towards our dreams, and being with the vision a little each day, even if it was really challenging. And I know in the past when I grieved, like my best friend died when I was in grade school, I've sort of gone totally into the grief, and lost the dream. Like the dream was good when life was going good, but when life started going rough, I'm like, see, life just
Out of here.
yeah, no more dreams. So
No more. That's it. Bye. Nice. Package you up, put you up on the shelf, or maybe put you in the trash can. Nice seeing you. Adios. Goodbye. Yeah.
So what's coming up for you about holding both grief and the dream at the same time?
I think there's a few things that are coming up. I think that with this passing, and it was unexpected. Anybody who knows cats is in the club. And it's like people who have wisdom teeth and they're like, oh yeah, we know that experience. There's a kind of a respect and an honoring. So anybody who's had a cat that they've lost quickly through a blood clot in the legs knows what the chances of survival are, what the chances are of doing. And, it's a club now. So, it happened incredibly quickly. And because I'm making a choice to be with my life and my passion and my dream in a different way, I'm about 75% doing what they would call a reframe or a redirect. I'm making a choice with each comment that comes through my brain or each set of grief that just pierces my heart as to how to be with it, and then what to choose in the next moment as to whether to still be with it or to be with a different choice. I think because I'm a channel and I am connected to Josh, and he's been so present since he passed. He's like a feed in my ear. He's like going, Mama, okay, remember me and joy. Mama, I'm in the chair. Say hello. Mama, remember to smile. Mama. And there's this constant, I'm very lucky, but it's helping me to realize in the moment that I can make a different choice about how I want to respond and what I want to let go of. But it's been real easy to let go of this podcast and want to be more visible. And I had a friend call me and she kicked my ass and she said, you better be on that podcast. I'm like, I am. Okay, I am. I think in another sense that whether it's grieving, what really hit me was there was an awareness that there's a difference between grief and shock. And I think while we're feeling a lot of grief from 2020, I think there's an awful lot of shock that has just continued to hit people, and trauma that relates to the shock. I think there's a lot of people who have understood or experienced trauma, so there's triggers coming up. And I think that this place of how to be in the balance between succumbing to the rabbit hole, to throwing the dreams in the trash, or to making a different choice. It's a different conversation than it was on Monday, because Monday it was all concept and it was like, yeah. And today it's like raw. Even though I don't look raw, I'm having a moment here of being, together. Maybe, I don't know, that's where we start, or if that answers your question, but maybe it sets something up.
You said something with a lot of very valuable nuggets there, but will you talk more about the difference between grief and shock?
Yeah, I can't say that I know much about it. It's about 20 minutes old with me, I think somebody posted on my Facebook that grief is sadness and shock is trauma. And that yesterday I was in expanded shock. The shock just kept happening one moment after another. It's this disbelief of, I don't understand what's happening. How can this be happening? How can I cope? What do I need to do? Who do I need to call? And in my case, because it's how I roll, it was asking spirit or universe, okay, so who should I call? What should I do? What's the information? I work on a question basis with the universe, and by asking questions, I get answers. So who do I need to call? What's my next step? Okay. How do I process this information? How do I hold the grief at bay while I make decisions, life and death, which, are not my forte or weren't my forte? I can say one thing, that building a community that can support you, even if it's passively, is huge. Being able to reach out to people and say, I have a question, I don't understand, can you, this is what and being clear what you're asking from them really promotes people to be in a place of giving and helping in ways that I didn't expect. And I continue to be floored by the responses. I'm not doing it alone. So I'm going to mention this. It's, for me, yesterday was an ability to extend my trust with spirit, that I'm not in this as a me, that it's a we situation. I think it was being more aware in the Michael Bernard Beckwith concepts of the 4 stages, and whether you play in victim or manifester, or you flow with spirit. And I had been working on not being a victim. So I had set a stage, but then I allowed to flow through what flowed through. And I made a choice not to badmouth me and trash talk myself when everything had calmed down and it was just me and Cappy, the other kitty. And that's when Josh would come in and he'd be like, no, switch it, switch it, switch it. I'm not saying this is a solution for everybody. I'm not making light of anybody's grief. I'm only talking about my own experience here. And in some degrees, it's still fresh.
In many degrees, it's still fresh.
Still fresh.
Still very, very,
very fresh.
Very fresh. You talk about the power of small, of just taking a small step a lot.
Yeah.
And you're embodying that right now by being here. I mean, this isn't just a small step. This is huge. I mean, you could have so easily said, "Hey, Jason, I'm in grief. This is my dear cat. Can we reschedule for 3 months from now?"
Yeah. I'm a rabbit hole girl. I've told you, you know this. I have the phrase, I put up drapes, I decorate, I bring in furniture. I can live in the rabbit hole as long as there's Wi-Fi for a very long time. It's and the fact that I've chosen for it to not be a comfortable place this round is very, very interesting. There's something else that's coming up. There's a couple of things that are coming up. It actually was a dance yesterday. It was Josh can't use his legs. Okay, we'll get him to the vet. Okay, vet isn't there. What do we do next? Okay, how can we problem solve? Okay.
So 2 days ago, Josh was walking around and jumping on the counter and stuff.
He was on bed. Yeah, he was like listening. Yeah.
So yesterday it was a dance. Josh couldn't use his legs, and then what happened?
Couldn't use his legs, so I'm at the vet. Vet is out of town. How do we problem solve? Okay, maybe it's a pinched nerve. Okay, get some meds, do this. Brought him home, said some prayers, put him on the biomat, spent some time with him. Look at his paws. They're purple. Call a friend. He shouldn't have purple paws. Get him to a vet right away. Take him to the vet. It's COVID. Leave the cat. Go drive to the beach. And then, the progression of, okay, so here's the treatment, here's the prognosis, here's the cost. Okay, what am I going to do for that? Okay, I could call this person or that person. Okay, who can I call that is, I work with a lot of people in New Thought, so I know a lot of ministers and practitioners. Who can I call that knows about cats and knows about grief and knows about the absolute possible and knows about prayer, so that I can be in this place of really making choice? I got the person, and we talked, and she was available. And then she was with me as the situation deteriorated. And there was this place that was like, so Josh could come through this. God has miracles. But as we really looked at the evidence and we looked at it in affirmative prayer, there was a realization that cats don't survive this. And if they do, it's painful, and the treatment is painful. And it's not a, I'm giving up. It's a, this is really what we're looking at. And it was very powerful to be in that middle place of holding an absolute possible and then knowing when to let go and trusting that what I was hearing was what was needing to be done. It's just, I can't even, it was a step by step though.
So yeah, yesterday was really a dance between these just huge, massive emotions, and then at the same time very pragmatic problem solving, step by step, and then reaching out to your team.
Yeah. And everybody came and played a place in the dance, and it was really, as I look back almost as a witness, it's kind of astounding and still takes my breath away that there were this many people who had this many roles, and each one played a role that, and then I tried to control it, and there were things that I couldn't control and I had to surrender to. And then, it was, so what are you hearing? There's an old phrase that, spirit, universe, where are you? Well, I sent you a rowboat, I sent you a helicopter, I sent you a yacht. And spirit sent me an affirmative prayer minister, sent me another veterinarian, and I know I'm forgetting the third person, but there were three distinct knowledges. Oh, the vet herself at the hospital. And then coming, another piece that's interesting with this, Jason, is I don't know if I'd call it setting the space or setting the framework to play in this place. They say that you learn your spiritual tools so that you have them when you really need them. And so, part of this was how much I can accept myself for being perfect or imperfect in my whole process with Josh and in my whole process of problem solving. And, there was the question to the vet, if I had brought him in earlier, would we have had this problem? And she says, no. She says, this was the problem. I said, are you just saying that to make me feel better? Or is that, but that's what we do as humans. We doubt. And I made a choice to be in a place of awareness and more acceptance of myself. And it's an ongoing process right now. It's being aware. I wouldn't say vigilant. I would say it's being aware. It's being aware.
Talk about an imperfect best 24 hours for you. I mean, this is nothing close to perfection. Nothing close.
No.
So what does imperfect best mean to you in relation to what you've?
This is why you're catching me at such an interesting time in my life, and I don't know how I'll be in half hour when I'm not here, and then I'm back with me and Cappy again. It's one of the things I think I've loved most about you is this use of two words which shouldn't fit together, and yet in your world they are to me. And we have a difference of opinion on this, but it's like, to me, the most perfect combination that makes the most sense of almost any word that I've ever heard. Because putting imperfect and imperfect, best into the same thing is like two different energies, and yet it's such a form of permission that is always present, that allows me to check in and let go of all the stories, wounds, misunderstandings, perceptions, limitations, restrictions, their whole litany there of things that keep us stuck in a belief system and in a pattern, believing of how it should be. And it gives us permission to be real, to be human, to know that we're showing up, and that showing up is a huge step, and that we let go of the perfection of exactly how we think it should be, both. And there's two things to it. It's either in criticism or it's in the perfection of the vision. It goes both ways, and sometimes it goes both ways at the same time.
So you mean criticism from other people?
From yourself.
Oh,
I mean, that's where I get a lot of it now.
yeah.
It's more of me. I mean, I'm still impacted by what other people say or think, as much as I try not to be.
Yeah, you're welcome to the club.
But I'm doing better with that one. I'm choosing to. What did I say on Monday that really kind of rocked my world? A friend sent me a paragraph from Brene Brown, and I'm going to paraphrase something to the degree of. I'm going to close my eyes for a minute. So how I perceive other people are receiving me is how I will be received. And if I'm in a space of believing that they don't like me, or fill in the blank, then that's what I will see and that's what I will get. And if I'm in a space of believing that people do love or trust or care about me, or are not the projection of the story that I'm so good at, then that gives a lot more bandwidth and room to actually be loved, which is another huge topic, how we can accept being loved or being worthy or being enough. And it all ties in. It all ties in.
We were talking about going into 2021 on Monday, and just looking at my notes, you say you're a recovering revolutionist.
Oh my God. Now, oh my God. It's like, what was the context of that? Do you remember the context? Was it?
Because we were talking about setting New Year's resolutions, right. And you had an interesting take on that.
Yeah, I don't remember why the phrase came up so powerful. Maybe it'll come back through conversation, but I think the dialogue had something to do with I'm not a fan of resolutions. I'm not a fan of the pull up your bootstraps and I'm going to accomplish, do, be this, and life is going to change kind of feeling. And again, this is just me. I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak that if there's something here that resonates, cool. I'm not trying to change your life. I'm just trying to show perspectives.
So why doesn't making 10 New Year's resolutions work for you? Why?
I think there's something to be said for the phrase. And again, I've always hated platitudes until they become true. And then all of a sudden there's this kind of like shy, humbled, eat crow awareness, like, oh, that's why the platitude was true. Oh, got it. Interesting. I think that they set up I would call it a framework for a demand of how things are going to be, rather than allow the person to be in flow for awarenesses in the moment that allow life to be more fluid and more able to flow rather than an absolute. It's a softer way of working with oneself and the universe in tandem rather than I've got it covered. We're going to do this. It's an energetic thing. It's a softer approach to not having all the I's and the T's dotted, but really allowing for not knowing and being okay with the not knowing. Being okay with the not knowing.
Not knowing. And in that not knowing, you were saying how sometimes so often I think we look for big messages from the universe, like God, or whatever the spiritual component is. But you were saying sometimes the message can be as simple as buy butter.
That's right. That's right. I loved when that came through because I'd never heard that before. Sometimes when you channel, you're kind of amazed by what comes out of your mouth. You're like, did I just say that? And I think I was trying to give an example of what it was like to have an awareness, which I like as a better word than being intuitive and getting an intuitive hit. And what are my guides saying? Because that just throws more complications for people that's not their jam. So I think I was saying that, an awareness can be, as simple as go to the store and buy some butter. And I'm like, I don't want to buy butter. Why am I buying butter? And, the awareness for me will come back in. It'll go, let's try this again. Go to the store and buy butter. And then I get home and I have my butter and I don't realize that 3 friends want to come over and eat popcorn and watch a movie with me and I have butter. Now that might sound really stupid, but there's a purity to it that's kind of like, I don't know why I bought butter, but because I had butter, we were able to luxuriate. Thank you, Josh. In an experience that just added to the experience. And that's kind of the playful way, but it's just an awareness and you don't always know, you don't know where it's going to lead. You don't know where it's going to lead.
So not every awareness we have has to be earth shattering. Some of them can just be small things that make life flow just a little bit better.
Or bring in more joy. I mean, I think there's a lot of premise out there that it's, so you can create your life or different aspects. There's also the aspect of the joy of living and the luxuriating in the moments and creating moments that have more joy in them. And they don't always have to have deep meaning, but the momentum of building these moments actually builds momentum to know and see and allow in more joy.
Okay, you've said luxuriating twice. How more than that? How would not everyone might know exactly what luxuriating means? How would you describe this blissful practice?
It's I guess I'll put it in the context that we used in our house. Josh was a tall and long black and white Tux kitty. He was incredibly proud of his form and how handsome he was. And he loved having plushies, these soft blankets, that you can buy at this. And he loved laying on them because he loved the feeling of the plushie on his fur. And so if, I speak cats, so, cats like hang and they like, being, and he just especially was relaxed and comfortable. And it was like he was in his jam and his flow or laying in a cat bed and enjoying the sunshine. Luxuriating is for me when I'm in that flow of spirit and it can be awe and wonder or delish or simple or beautiful. You're in one of those qualities of the universe, and you're just in that flow, and there's a luxuriating. There's just an ability to just let go and just like anything that's delicious to you. Fill in the blank for whatever your form of plushie is. We all have it.
What luxuriating sounds like something us humans would always want to do. It sounds amazing. But why so often do we as humans resist luxuriating? I mean, I'm sure Josh asked that question repeatedly. Like,
He
why?
asked it me repeatedly. He and Cappy were both like, Mama, why can't you just get your eyes out of the computer and luxuriate with us for 5 minutes petting our fur? But Josh, I have a deadline. I have to get this done. I mean, and nobody was setting the deadline except me, which was even funnier. Okay, that's even funnier. And I'm sabotaging my own luxuriating. So,
sabotaging,
literally.
luxuriating.
And we're going all over the place with a lot of topics, but that's one of the grief points that I'm playing with, not dissolving into, is all those moments where there was a request to luxuriate with a kitty. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm too busy. I don't feel well. I don't want a kitty on my lap. I need to get this done. I don't want to have to compromise with you. And that's one of the things I'm choosing to be with, to not allow it to consume me and send it down the rabbit hole. There's a consciousness and an awareness to shift it again and go, well, what is working? What did work? Where was their love? And I know this is basic NLP, and I know that everybody has studied this, or a lot of people have. That's NLP. Everybody has studied it, but it's so it's accessible in so many different forms. But for me, it's just being aware of it at this point, so I don't go down the rabbit hole and tear myself apart. It's making a choice.
This is a huge thing, because so many of us humans have. Josh and Kathy have me thinking of saying us humans, but so many of us humans go around regretting so much that that we're not back in 2019 and on and on and on and on and I mean, if life was perfect, maybe we wouldn't ever have to regret anything. But it's simply now we don't get the chance to live a perfect life. We live the life we live.
I agree with you, and there's that component again of imperfect best, and giving ourselves permission to not tear ourselves apart for a projection. Or, you've heard me use this phrase like 5 million times. You're like tired of it, but Shonda Rhimes, who did Grey's Anatomy and Thursday night television on ABC for a long time as a showrunner, when she wrote her book, she was like, okay, so here's 2 things to know about me. I'm old and I lie for a living. And she defined it as laying track. Because I love words, and words help me to hold concepts and shift, I have been all over when I'm laying track. And it's like, you're laying track again. Oh. And it takes away the sting and the trigger of how fill in the blank can I be, and instead for me makes it more playful. You're laying track again there, sweetheart. How cute. Can we change it, you know?
Speaking of laying track, and speaking of the profound stories that people are carrying around, you help people get the stories out of them. You were instrumental in the creation of my TEDx talk.
Oh my God, that was so, oh, that's one of my top 3. Thank you. I had to take a moment. That was just like the most delicious thing in the world. That was luxuriating in that. It wasn't maybe luxuriating for you, but in a way it was, because it was so organic. Anyway, I just like delight.
And we got a standing ovation.
We got a standing ovation. I have to say that was so cool, because I was watching it on the feed and I'm like holding space and cheering and like, you know, like if I could have gotten there and like, stand up. And this man stood up, and then like within about 3 seconds, the whole audience had stood up, and I'm like, touchdown, score, basket, you know, like that's it. Yeah, thank you. We had to take a momentary glad there. See, that was luxuriating in the moment and playing in flow.
It was one wonderful thing. Yeah, thank you so much for your help, and then now you help people. You have this capacity to draw books out of people.
I do.
Talk about that a little bit.
I think I finally figured out what I want to do with my life, you know, how I want to be a grown-up here. It's kind of fun. It's the ability to combine the things that light me up and that I love, and it's coming together in a way that's really delicious. It's working with energy, so I'm holding the space for them to tap into their inner wisdom, their inner truth, their spiritual truth, their knowing, their wisdom. It's setting up an energetic knowing of safety, that there's no, it's just raw. Let's just sit down and have a conversation. And we make it easy. They say when 2 or more are gathered, which isn't just religious, it's the idea that when 2 people come together, it's 2, and that creates a whole different energy. And so I sit with my clients and we have conversations about what's going on in their life and what's important to them that they want to bring into the world, and putting like, okay, there's a book chapter, and write that down, and we're going to talk more about that, because the person is just in riff, because there's an energy and a set and a holding of such a vision to be who they are at their, and in my world, the best. And it allows them to just speak. As you know, one client said, well, yeah, it sounds really good. Why can't I just talk into the phone or a recorder? She says, because the phone is like an inanimate object, and when I talk to it, it doesn't smile or have any responses, and it's sometimes a PIA. So you're the opposite. You're vibrant, and you're sitting there holding, and you ask questions, because I get these ideas to ask these questions, and you ask questions and they just open me up and they take me in a whole different direction. And so what's happening is, people are starting to write from a core authentic place, rather than writing from what they think their marketing should have them write. Because the concept is, if you get the raw material and you get it in a form that they're speaking how they speak in their language, then you've got raw material that can be edited, it can be marketed, there can be a choice of what you want to do with it. And it's really delicious to see this process.
Once you have the raw material, it can be sculpted in any number of ways, but without the raw material, there's nothing to sculpt.
There's nothing to sculpt. And if one is so on target with what they think they should be bringing forth, they do get so stuck in this one belief system that keeps them like restricted and limited. Whereas if it's in a more expansive state that they can simply be who they be, it's bringing forth phenomenal material. This is the material of the new emerging thought leaders.
Oh.
You know, makes me cry.
You asked such a powerful question. What do you want to bring forth in this world?
Ask it again, because I think I thought I was going somewhere else, so I'm guilty of not being in flow. Okay, try that again.
No, I mean you asked a question like this when you were talking, and I just want to point it out for the audience. What do you want to bring forth in this world? What do you want to bring forth in your life?
I'm going to take a couple of stabs at this question. Okay, let's just riff with this for a minute. I want my kitty back. That's a different answer. I want my kitty back. I want my life that was with that kitty. I want the trust and the knowing of having that remarkable conscious being holding space for me. I want his spirit when he wants to lay on my chest or sleep with me at night. I want that back, because it was so supportive in so many ways. So there's a shift in what I want, and I'll get to some other things in a minute, but there's an ability to flow with that, and many who do growth work would understand that that could be, I think, what they call, it could be unpacked. Well, what is it that I'm looking to have do experience from having Josh back in my life? And I don't have an answer to that. But I think if I were to go then in another direction, I want a few things. I want the physical structure of a ocean front in San Diego area, property, beach house, mine, somebody else's, doesn't matter, because I want to wake up and here see the ocean. I want to go to sleep and here see the ocean. I want to write as the ocean is there. I want to live. I want to make love. I want to eat. I want to live my life so that in all moments that I'm home, that ocean is there. And that's huge for me, you know. And yeah, ocean would help because the lake doesn't quite make it for me. So it is kind of more particular on that. I want this to be a place where I can help writers, both new authors and established authors, really bring out the essence and books of their soul that is not only they want to express, but the world needs to hear. Because we are in a place where we are hungry for new perspectives on old ideas. And frequently, all it takes is like, I think you're a prime example, Jason. You know, you write this book, Awkwardly Awesome, and your concepts in it, you're brilliant, and you're bringing pieces and ideas into the world that hadn't been birthed in this way before. And it allows your audience to hear you in a different way. And that's what really, you know, for lack of a better phrase, that's what really turns me on, is to be a midwife, a supporter of these people who have a brilliance and a statement and an expression, and let's get it out of you, and then let's support you in getting it into the world, because it's never been said before this way. And I think also there's another piece that I want to add is, you know, I've thought about it a lot, like what really floats my boat. And I love watching music reality shows. I love to watch contestants on The Voice or on American Idol. That's more of my jam because I love watching the people grow in their dreams. And I love what happens when they believe that it's possible and they get, an opportunity or support. And it just deeply touches me when people have that opportunity to, it goes back to the paragraph, to see themselves as magnificent. We've talked about this, the Marianne Williamson, who am I to be so brilliant? And I want to get up on the nearest structure and scream, who are you not? And it's not just you're a child of God. It's like you got these things, and put the zipper on and shut them down and be afraid because of all the things that make you afraid. And the hands are very animated. So we know who's talking there. Like, hello. Oh, now your guests are going to wonder, who are those people talking? Yeah.
This is so powerful, and I want everyone to watching to really realize this. I used to think of grief as like one solid thing, like someone's in grief for a month or 6 months or 2 years or 10 years, but I mean really. You're showing that you go in and out of it, that people go in and out of the grieving process. Like when I started asking you that question about what do you want to bring forth, you start with grief. You want Josh back, but then you were able to go into your dreams. So I really want to get this myself, and I want everyone listening to get it, that it's not either or. It's not like either we're ecstatically happy with life and everything's perfect, or we're miserable. It can be both. A lot of times there's things that really hurt, and then things that bring us joy, and we can do them both. We can walk into come.
Yeah, I love what you've said there. That's really profound, and I think that I don't know who said a long time ago, but when phrases have an operational definition and everybody can kind of understand what it means, I don't remember where I was going to go with that, but that's okay. Maybe it'll come back. I'm in a place where, like I said, I'm a good friend of the rabbit hole. I'm a frequent flyer until recently, and there's a choice at this point. There's an ability to be with that. He is gone, and I miss him, and I cry, and I want him back. And what else is possible here? What else was important? What am I willing or unwilling to sacrifice to grief, to feeling? And it's a process that's so unique to every individual in every circumstance and every moment. I don't even want to pretend that I'm standing up here to be an expert on grief or any of this. Again, all I'm saying is my experience, where I'm at in my 6th decade of doing a lot of personal and spiritual growth and looking to be more aware and conscious and reduce the triggers, that this particular round, I'm given the grace and the blessing to have the strength and the support system, and having done the processes that work for me, to see that grief is not an either or. and to allow myself to be in the grief, but to not allow it to consume me, which is a fine line. How much do you grieve? How much do you cry? When is it not? And being, perhaps it's being conscious for me in each moment. Is this the place I want to stay in the next moment? Do I want to continue to stay here? Or do I have other options? Do I want to stay in the grief? Or do I want to feel like I see Josh sitting on a chair and grin and say, hello, Josh? Now, everybody who knows me, and you know me, this is new work for me. I've never been in this place before, ever. So I'm speaking from something that is tender and new. And when the grief hits at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's like, now what do we do? And the chatter starts. And everybody has the potential to find their own combinations of what works for them in each moment, and what works for in this moment may not work in the next moment. And it's, for me, again, because I've trained myself to be aware. I'm aware then, as I ask questions, well, then what is possible? What else can I do? What else? How can I help myself? These are just my tools in this moment.
Oh, I think people often get frustrated about grief because they want to be able to grieve for a certain length of time, and then they figure they should be happy afterwards and ready to totally move on. But you said it's not an either or. It's like grief, move on sometimes. Move on for a few hours, sometimes less, sometimes more, but then the grief comes back, and it's a natural process. And
Natural process, and I think there's two pieces that are coming up for me. I think that in my awareness at this point, that grief is to acknowledge the loss. And again, how long, if I'm aware, do I want to stay in this? But I think that also that I'd be remiss if I didn't state that it's not just the rabbit hole, but I have spent a lot of my life either believing or feeling, because there's a truth to both, that I am not capable of moving through the grief in this moment, this week, this month. I am, I talk about it in vibrational terms, and there can be more density and cellular memory weighing us down, which makes it harder to be more buoyant to the possibility. There is physiological and emotional and psychological. There's the word.
yeah.
And social and there's all these factors that can be so predominant that I'm not saying it's simple, go make choice. Everybody in the world should just, but for those who maybe feel that they are at a precipice or a tipping point, or a place where they maybe could look at this and go, oh, I see maybe where there are some other options, because I'm in a place where I can more easily, more frequently make these choices. And that is kind of where the spiritual, the self growth, the personal growth comes in. Is they have a thing in New Thought called, the evidence. And as we are able to build the evidence that we're using a practice that helps us to be more centered, less triggered, more in an area to make choice. Choice sometimes can be, choice is necessary, but it can also sometimes be a luxury depending on where people are. Everybody's in a different place. And I think the other thing I want to add is that when I started to think about shock, and trauma, people who have had a lot of trauma understand shock. It's compounded. There's actually a new word for it. But then when 2020 hits and COVID hits, there is so much extensive shock that is happening in this year that is just compressed like plutonium, that the shock aspect to people is almost to the point where how can I even breathe to make choice? And it compounds everything. So if people were already in a place where it was rough, there's a lot of people that are doing well. There's a lot of people that are creative. There's a lot of people that are impacted. Again, it's a across the board kind of thing. But we notice that the shock is adding to the complexities of how we can be buoyant enough to be in choice. It takes more work sometimes. It takes more awareness. It takes more practice or momentum.
I like, and sorry to wind down, but I like what you say about like if it's hard to be in choice for five minutes, be in choice for a minute. I mean, like make it small enough that it's manageable.
Exactly. And somebody I was working with recently brought that to my attention in a new way. And it was like, okay, because, we think about choice and we're going to do this. It's like a resolution, or a revolution or whatever that is. But she asked, this is why I love really good questions. She asked, can you be in this space for 5 seconds?
Hmm.
And can you be in that space for 5 seconds, maybe 5 times a day? It's like, okay. And then maybe can you build it to 6 seconds? And that might sound trite, but 5 seconds of being aware starts to build momentum.
Mm.
That is definitely the micro of the micro of the micro steps.
But it makes a micro step accessible instead of seeming impossible, and it's
possible. Yeah,
better to take an accessible micro step than to just constantly think about taking a micro step but never, or taking a huge step but never do it. Probably.
I'm going to kind of come back into like what perfect best. Perfect best is. See, I always screw it up, and because I'm in my imperfect best. Okay, we got that one. Isn't that what it's all about, though? Is that ability to take a step, make an action, and continue in the momentum, and be less concerned about how we're doing it or what the results will be, and just allow it. My words would be to be in the flow.
And if the step doesn't work out, can always learn from it and then take another step.
There's another example that makes me grin. I have wonderful mentors and books and tapes that have been really good friends for me. And Sark was one of the mentors for me. And these little stories, these little tidbits, like stick with me. You see, the stories work. We remember them 20 years later. She's like, if you're trying to make that call, like say it's a sales call or something, she said, so today you dial 3 digits and hang up. And tomorrow you dial 4 digits. and maybe 2 days from now you dial 5 digits, because not everybody is wired in the same moment at the same time to process trauma and all these things that are weighing on us in the same way in any given time. And what might be easy for one person, just dial the phone, could be the most life changing, life difficult moments of, and to celebrate that I dialed 3 numbers today. Huge difference in how it's coded.
Wow.
And then I want to say something else that's coming through. And the person who says, and these are just, examples, you could say, like we used to say, I'm pulling them out of my wherever, for whatever, like butter. But the person who can dial the 7 digits with no problem may not be able to walk past a dog. And that person might need to take 17 steps over a month to walk past a dog, because we all have those places. And I think what I'm like hearing is almost a asking of honoring and respect for others to be where they're at in their fears, because not everybody has the same fears.
Yeah, that's so true. Thank you so much, Harmony, for your I am so moved. If if you hadn't said yes today, we wouldn't have been able to share this gift with all the people who will view this, and since you say yes today, so much wisdom came out specific to what you're going through. What a huge gift! Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm deeply touched to have your support to say, I give you the space to do what you need to do, and let's just take it one moment at a time. I am profoundly touched and joyous and humbled at the same time to have been asked and to show up here. I am grateful to have been given an opportunity to not be in the belief system that if I couldn't show up perfectly, then why am I going to show up? Because if I show up and I can't get the makeup on and my eyes look like I've been crying for 24 hours, like who wants to see that? But you invited me to show up as I show up. And I let go of what I might have held as a perfection for somebody being on a podcast that they're supposed to be. And I'm not being disrespectful, I'm being at me, that I was given the space to just show up without an expectation and just trust. Skyrockets.
Oh,
huge.
I
need a bigger screen, like.
I urge anyone who has any reflections on the podcast, on the wisdom Harmony has shared, or who has gone through the process of grief and moving forward, to please comment or message me individually if that's easier for you. But
I adore you. I adore what you stand for. I adore who you are. I adore that you apply what you talk about to your own life. I adore that you ask questions that lead you into new places and that you're curious. I adore how you want to impact people and impact the world. And I adore that you've had the courage to continue to create content and put yourself out there and recreate yourself and find all kinds of ways to reach people, and that you are so passionate about it. That just blows me away.
Thank you so much, Harmony. Thank you so much for everything. And on that note, we'll say goodbye, and please stay on. Okay, Harmony.
Okay, thank you.
And thanks for tuning into Awkwardly Awesome podcast. And here's a thank you video.